Today is Monday, September 9th, and the Bitcoin is trading at 56,700. And last time we spoke, it was at 52,000. So we've gone up quite a bit. We've gone up, 4,000 in 4 days, basically, more than 4,000, close to 5,000. So when I told you not to panic, I think I was justified in saying that. Now, that being said, we're not out of the woods yet. I think there is still some volatility left here in September. But as I mentioned on Friday, I think the worst is probably behind us. And time will tell if what I have said is true. Now, without further ado, let's get started. Today, I'm going to talk about two of my favorite positions, and I'm going to be talking about pair trading in this week's elite member session. So we'll talk about the mechanics of pair trading, how to set up a strong pair trade, and we'll do an example with Bitcoin and Tesla. So if you're interested in that, be sure to become a elite member. Link to do so is in the description of this video. So let's talk about Bitcoin first and where we are. So if you look at the last 3 cycles, this period, so August, September, has been a very volatile period, and we've had a repeat of this same story this time around. But then if you look October and beyond, the trend is quite clear. So far we've been copying what we did in the last 3 cycles, which gives us a reason to believe that perhaps October moving forward will not be an exception to this, and we will copy the last cycle's upward movement, inshallah. And maybe even, as I mentioned, we may have front ran the weakness that was anticipated in the market in late August, beginning of September, and perhaps we have a stronger than expected end of September. Now, if we look at another FOMO-inducing chart, we see that you can break up bull runs typically into part 1 and part 2. It seems like we're due for part 2 of our bull run here. And part 2, by the way, tends to be much stronger than part 1. That is, the anticipated returns in part 2 tend to be much stronger and ending in euphoria, which is when you need to sell. So be sure to be cognizant of that fact. And if you are interested in Bitcoin, I think now is a better time to buy than 2 months from now, 3 months from now, Q1 of 2025. And even though I've said that, I'm sure many of you, well, actually, I hope the viewers will not do this, but many investors will be overcome by FOMO Q1 of 2025, Q2, and get in at exactly the wrong time. So just be sure that you're not one of those. And as it relates to Tesla, we have the big event coming up, October 10th. Tesla plans Robotaxi reveal at a California Warner Brothers studio. So likely what will happen is there's a fake town, and they will use the fake town to demonstrate the abilities of their Robotaxi. So we'll get a live demo then. And then also, because this event was actually postponed, when the event happens, we'll probably get a few other things revealed by Tesla during this event. So I think there's going to be some upward stock movement leading up to this event. It may turn out to be a buy the rumor, sell the news type situation. Depending on how much we run up leading to the event, I may decide to take some profits and buy back after the event. We'll see, though. So far, the stock has not given us reason to do that, although there's still a month until the event, and so it may give us a reason to do exactly that. Obviously, PIF members will be informed move by move what we do in our portfolios. Now, speaking of a few other things, we did get a recent application for a patent on a wireless charging system, which is likely to be used for their robotaxi fleet. So basically, idea is you park the car near or on top of this, and you basically don't have to plug in anything. So the robotaxi will charge itself and be on its way. So you'll have a literal cash printing fleet with minimal human intervention required, that is autonomous and producing cash. Now, how much cash, you may ask? Well, let's look at the economics, and this is from Simply Wall Street. So Uber charges $2 to $4 per mile in the US. Robotaxis should be able to charge $1 per mile. Now, if a vehicle completes 50,000 miles a year, that's $50,000, assuming the cost, charging, cleaning, maintenance, insurance is around half of that. So 50 cents a mile, that's $25,000 in profit that's split between the vehicle owner and the network operator, Tesla. So this is just a high margin cash producing machine, as I mentioned, that will benefit Tesla and will also benefit, to the extent Tesla makes this available, fleet owners, so private investors that want to buy robotaxis, or Tesla owners. That would be great. Tesla owners and Tesla vehicle owners that can just add their cars to the fleet and earn some money. And if this happens, this may change Tesla vehicles from traditionally cars being, liabilities. It may change them from the classification of a liability to a cash producing asset. And therefore, if this were to happen, people could, between one day and the next, see their liability sitting in their driveway transform into a cash producing asset with no effort on their part. And that will be quite a good surprise or quite a good event for Tesla owners, I'm sure. Now, there will be competition, but let's look at that competition. Let's see, how serious this competition is. So, if we look at Waymo, for example, so they mentioned that, and if you contrast the positive coverage of this in the news versus the negative coverage that Tesla gets, it's quite remarkable. So Waymo is announced recently that Phoenix Sky Harbor is on track to be the first airport in the world to offer Waymo rider-only autonomous vehicle service. So what does this mean? So it means in a very narrow route, geofenced, you can't go out of, you can ride in a Waymo and it will take you to the airport. Well, guess what? Currently, you can ride in a Tesla that has FSD and go anywhere. You can go to the Phoenix airport, you can go anywhere you want with very minimal intervention. And I can say this from firsthand experience. But not only that, so they say trusted testers will be able to catch a ride 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Right, like with what you can do with just any Tesla. In Waymo's fully electric Jaguar, equipped with the 5th generation Waymo driver. By the way, Waymo uses LiDAR, doesn't use camera. LiDARs are very expensive, and I'm not even sure it's economically viable for autonomous vehicles to be built with LiDAR. Certainly, no one has done that profitably ever. So, I mean, they're solving for self-driving in a geofenced area that you will only work in this geofenced area using a technology which is doubtful that um, has the right economics to work in the first place because lidar is very expensive, especially when compared with cameras, which is what Tesla uses for its full self-driving. So things aren't looking that promising for Tesla's competition. And oh, by the way, current trips are offered with an autonomous specialist in the driver's seat. An autonomous specialist, so like a driver. So I guess when I'm driving my Tesla or in my Tesla with FSD working, I'm an autonomous specialist. So yeah, currently it doesn't seem like there's any serious competition. I'm not discounting the possibility. Actually, I kind of am. It's very hard for any company to catch up with Tesla. So let's look at why this is the case. So we looked at the opportunity. Um, so here's what Tesla has going in its favor. This is a few of the things it has going in its favor. So Tesla has now logged well over 1 billion miles of travel using various levels of autonomy. Competing platforms only recently crossed the 10 million mile mark. So 10 million versus over 1 billion. There's no catching up with that, especially when you consider that this lead is only growing because of Tesla's fleet that is in use right now. Tesla's Dojo is arguably the most powerful supercomputer in the world, so that's what it's using to train its full self-driving algorithm. The company has the capacity to manufacture over 2 million and growing vehicles a year. So additional data, input points, uh, specifically 2 million more will be hitting the road every year and growing. And many of Tesla vehicles currently on the road can be upgraded to latest FSD version. So this means that Tesla has just a really huge moat. What's going to happen is other companies are just going to license FSD from Tesla. It makes no sense whatsoever for them to try and close that gap unless they take a novel approach that's superior to vision, which no one has proposed yet. But Tesla is currently using vision, and it seems like it's very close to the finish line. Certainly, we'll have more color on that statement on August 10th. I'm sorry, October 10th. Now, there's a lot of analysts that like to, discount this development. They like to say, "Oh, well, Elon Musk, he's been promising, you know, robotaxis for the longest time and it never happened. Therefore, it will never happen." I think this is very erroneous logic that is dangerous to adopt as an investor. Listen, Elon Musk has been bad at timing things, right? So this is a headline from 2019. He says Elon Musk promises fleet of 1 million Tesla robotaxis in 2020. Yeah, that didn't happen. We're in 2024. We don't have one robotaxi yet. So, you know, it's no denying that the timeline has been pushed back. However, think about what's happening here. What is the problem that Tesla is trying to solve? It is a very big problem, very complicated problem. It's trying to solve for general autonomy in vehicles, not geofenced autonomy, not, oh, hey, take me to the Phoenix airport from, downtown Phoenix. It's not just trying to solve that problem, which Waymo is struggling to solve, and needs an autonomous expert in the driver's seat to fix. It's trying to solve general autonomy in vehicles. That means the vehicle can drive itself anywhere on Earth. It doesn't matter what the road system is like, or what the rules and the driving rules in that particular location are. It can adapt using cameras, so photons in, mechanical instructions out. That's what it's trying to solve for. So yeah, I mean, if it's late 4 or 5 years, I think that's understandable. The question an investor needs to ask is, do I think they will get there? And do I have, enough of a time horizon to see that through? And if the answers are yes and yes, then I think this is a no-brainer. And I think that there's clearly progress being made here. We're getting closer and closer to robotaxis being a reality. I think this much is clear. And hey, we're halal-conscious investors. We're not dealing with options. We're not dealing with derivatives that whose value goes, poof, when they expire. We own stock in the company, and well, we have an investment horizon that is as long as it takes for our thesis to play out. So this seems like a no-brainer. Focus on the signal, ignore the noise. Yeah, the timeline has been pushed back. It's a tough problem to solve. It's not. We're not, making chocolate bars here. We're solving, full self-driving. And to give some color on how big of a deal this is for the company. So this is ARK Invest. They've been pretty good with predicting generally price movements for Tesla and developments in associated industries. So they have a breakdown of, so first off, they're predicting an 8.2 trillion enterprise value for the company without taking into account humanoid robots by 2029. And 88% of that value, by the way, this is a 10x from where Tesla currently is. 88% of that enterprise value they predict is going to come from robotaxis. Now, why is it that much of a contributor? Well, because what we said, it's a very high margin business. Now, we're not selling cars anymore. We're selling a service that, every additional dollar is basically going straight to the bottom line. EBITDA by business line in expected value is, in their sort of base case, is 440 billion EBITDA, and that's 86% of the total company EBITDA. It's 63% of revenue, but because it has a more profitable profile, it's 86% of earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. So this is a huge deal for Tesla, the company. We're likely to see a lot of movement in the stock upwards around the event, and moving forward as we get more as we get more color around the robotaxi service, the profitability of it. Analysts are going to start building robotaxi and its business into their models. We're going to see higher and higher price targets for the stock, and the stock price should follow, inshallah. If you'd like to join our elite member session, by the way, it's recorded. If you can't attend, there will be a recording, like all of our elite member sessions. Last time we went over protective puts. If you'd like to join this new one and get access to whatever new ones we make, then become an elite member. If you'd like to follow our portfolios, become a premium member if you haven't already. With that being said, let's go to questions very quick. Salam Arkan, on a scale, bear to bullish scale, 0 to 10, where do you stand right now? So, wa alaikum salam, Rashad. So for the rest of September, I think I'm kind of neutral. I think it's, I wouldn't be surprised either way. I expect some volatility here. Longer term, though, if you ask me, 3 to 6 months, I'm very bullish because I believe that the liquidity picture is clear, and liquidity ultimately is what's going to. I have very strong conviction in the micro, right, in the individual assets that we hold. It's really a matter of macro when they play out, and so I have a high degree of confidence in macro because of the liquidity picture as I see it, and the fact that we are set for rising levels of global liquidity, which should raise asset prices. Of course, wallahu alam. Thoughts on Hershey stock? If you remember, just put that in members picks, and that's where we talk about different positions or like potential stocks or assets that we may be interested in. Abdullah says salam. Alaikum salam. Always good to see you as well, Abdullah. Asghar Khan says, great analysis. Well, thank you, Asghar. I'm glad you were able to join us. Have some time horizon for reaching 100K. Did that change? Second question is about put options from halal haram perspective. Is selling allowed? So for these, let's take that to our Discord, Abdullah, and we can talk about that in more detail, inshallah. For now, I would like to ask you guys a favor, which is to leave a like if you found this live useful, and make sure to hit the notification bell if you haven't already so that you can catch our next live. Until next time, make sure to take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum, and peace be upon you all.